In this video, I'm going to implement another product repository using RepoDB, a hybrid ORM. This ORM is newer and a feature-compatible replacement of Dapper. I don't know, let's see if it can convince me to switch.
Hey, it's Justin Colson with SparkPoint University, where we aim to provide the advanced techniques that will take your skills to the next level. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and keep in mind that all links we discuss will be provided in the description. So let's jump right in.
Alright, so today, somebody told me about RepoDB. I've never used it, never even heard of it before today. So what I figured I'd do is actually, take a look at it. Apparently it's feature complete in the sense that it can replace Dapper almost entirely. So I'm going to pull it over and we're going to see. So I was looking at it, some of the documentation here, and get started with RepoDB. This is repodb.net. There's a GitHub page as well. It's completely open source. And so we're going to install it, repodb.sql server. So it looks like we have to call initialize on everything as well. So never seen this before. This is actually kind of new to me, but we're gonna do it. And then at that point, this stuff is using kind of like an entity framework hybrid. I'm not actually going to go that route. I'm going to use a SQL just to see if I can replace it. And if I come down here, I believe there's a SQL, executing SQL text. So here you go. So you can see here I can execute some SQL text. And looks like it can do the exact same thing. So we're going to try it and see if I can make it work. I've never used it before. So what we're going to do, because I want to do some comparisons, let's just rename this first off. Let's call this Dapper SQL product repository. And to make our lives easier, I think what I'm going to do is just copy this class. Normally I wouldn't copy, I'd probably try to abstract some of it out so I could just reuse some of the SQL stuff. But for what we're trying to do here, we're just going to do the same thing. And we're going to call this RepoDB SQL product repository. There we go. And now we need to replace it. So let's pull this out real quick. Now we have two implementations. All right. Let's do it up. Let's manage NuGet packages. We'll go repodb.sql server. Install. Okay, it's installed. So let's replace it. Instead of Dapper, we're going to go using RepoDB. So it doesn't have query single async anymore, so we need to see what it does have. So I think it's execute query here. Let's just look at what the operations are. Okay, let's see the operation here. So DB connection, we pass in our command text, our parameter just like Dapper. However, transaction is down the line a little bit. Say command type, command D. So it's not as full, it seems like, as the other one. I guess we could do execute scalar as well. Even still, the transaction is just a little different. Looks like they have a lot of extensions in here. And a lot of different ones, but when it comes to the execution, it doesn't look like it has everything that Dapper does today, but it doesn't mean we can't make it work. So we're going to use it that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to do transaction equal trans. So it's not a drop-in replacement. And so it's going to pull back IEnumerable. So we're going to have to do first or default. And we're going to have to use this. Not doing this right. Let's we'll just do it this way. That way it's a little bit clearer here. Return result stuff first or default. But how do we do it with Dapper? Let's take a quick look, make sure. Query single. Single means that it's needing exactly one, so why don't we do that? Because we don't want default, we want it to pass back a single. And so if one doesn't exist, it should blow up. That should work pretty much the same. Seems easy enough. It's not too bad. Now we need to maybe do some tests against this. I would like to do some comparisons. So why don't we go to our console app? Looks like I'm injecting the Dapper one right now. I don't really want to inject it at this point. So what we're going to do is we'll leave that in place. But instead of doing what we're doing here, we're going to create these manually. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is let's do repository 1. So, come on. Repository 1. And this will be, instead of doing this, we're going to get the executor, iSQL executor. Get required string, SQL executor. There we go. And instead, we're just going to create our repositories manually. So let's do Dapper repository. And we'll do another one, will be repository 2. And we'll do RepoDB. Okay, so then what we're going to do then is let's just copy and paste this. We'll insert 4 of them. And instead we'll have a 2 here. And we'll do repo2. Repo2. Perfect. Because on my executor, I added performance monitoring, we just want to make sure that is enabled. It is not, so let's turn on monitoring here. And let's just see what happens. Let's see how much faster, if anything, in one instance. It might not be fast at all. Maybe we need to do a lot more than just one. But let's just see what happens. Maybe we'll see something significant here. Maybe we might end up putting this into a loop and maybe doing an average as well. So interesting, we got a no reference exception. Let's just see what really happened. DB field cache. I didn't do that initialize thing it told me to do. That's kind of on me. So let's just kill that. Let's make sure we initialize it. I didn't even think about it. It's unusual really to have to initialize things like this, but we'll put it at the beginning. Can't hurt, right? Let's try again and see if that fixes the issue. So this is a problem. It doesn't actually utilize the custom query parameters it did before. So no mapping exists from type table value dapper.table value parameter. Okay, that means we're gonna have to change a little bit more than what we did before. So let's see if we can figure that out. All right, so looking at the documentation real quick, it looks like table value parameters to execute a table value parameter, create a data table and set its name equals to the name of the user defined type. Luckily, we kind of already did this, so that's good. So we just need to change our extension behalf a little bit. It kind of even makes it a little bit more flexible. So what we'll do is we'll go to SQL extensions, to SQL parameter. What we'll do instead is we'll say, copy this, we'll say to data table. This will be data table. Perfect. We will delete this and we'll just return the data table. And because there's no reason to duplicate all this code, we will just it's a little bit easier here. So we're going to say value.toDataTable. Now we were close. We weren't quite there, so we'll do this. There. So we can now do both. We'll just do data table instead. To data. Oops, I'm still playing. Turn that off. To data table. That should do it. We'll see. We'll hit play now. And look at there. So not too bad. So it was 1.35, but it was the first call to the database. Then Dapper was 0.09, 0.946, and 0.13. So I think what we need to do is we need to put this in a loop and do a kind of a better test. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an average over 100 records. So let's go back and we will constant int loop count. What we'll do is we'll do time span elapsed time equals new time span of 0. There we go. All right, then we're going to go for and C guy I loop count. That's easy enough. And we'll just insert this record over and over and over and over again. Okay, we'll get rid of some of this. In fact, we'll get rid of all of this. And what we'll do is we're going to do a clock. And because I want to reuse this code, let me just put it into a method. And we'll do time span, and calculate or measure average time. And we're going to pass in the iProduct repository, and we'll do loop count. There we go. Got this, put this here. Repository loop count. And then we will, of course, turn this into an async task. There we go. Everybody should be happy. And we will do stopwatch. Stopwatch. I'll start new. And we'll just return watch.elapsed at this point. Won't change after that point, and then we'll just measure the time. So we're going to say, let's see, let's rename these repositories. Names aren't very good. Say Dapper repo and RepoDB repository. And then we'll say time span Dapper results equals await measure. Needs to be static. Wait, measure average time of the Dapper repository. Count. And we will do repo DB results. Perfect. One thing I didn't do here is I need to see if this will this let me divide. I think it does, but I'm not certain. It does. We're going to divide by the loop count, which will give us hopefully divide by the value of the divisor. Okay, so good. So this will give us the average. That's what I wanted. And then let's just put these results out there. And Dapper results. And RepoDB. Okay, we're also going to turn off. We're going to turn this off as well because otherwise we'll get a bunch of those messages in the elapsed time. So we'll just turn that off. All right, let's see what happens. I give us a little bit of a idea here, so you can see it averages about 0.02 per call, whereas repo averages about 0.01. So, you know, I don't know, 9 milliseconds more. Let's up it up a little bit here. Let's up this to 1,000. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but let's just see what happens. Still beat it out. So Dapper on average 2.06 and then 0.04. So it looks like even just in the raw insert case that we're doing, we still seems like RepoDB is actually a little bit faster. Minus the fact that it actually has bulk upload features built in to the system. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. It seems like there's a few items that aren't quite what I'd like to see when I was going through some of the documentation. I think it cannot natively handle like the top and like skip top limits you can do in SQL Server. It's on there, I think, to-do list, but it's just not done yet. So there's a couple things that you can't do, at least from the entity framework type style, fluent style they have. But I mean, can't do that with Dapper either. I mean, I still have to put that into Dapper. So honestly, it seems like if I can do this with Dapper, and I can do it with RepoDB, it might be better to switch. So I'm gonna start looking into it, maybe go into a little bit more depth in another video, and see if maybe I can use their Fluent style and maybe kind of get rid of some of the SQL altogether. I'm not a huge fan of any framework, but maybe this might provide a good alternative. I don't know. We'll see. So this was a quick little mini review of RepoDB. Really just wanted to test the waters and see if I could replace Dapper. It seems like a good alternative. It seems like it's a little bit faster, and it's more feature complete, at least from a standpoint of bulk inserts and uploads, which we didn't really show here, but based on the documentation, it can do it. It also has this Fluent API that we can use, which we didn't really show again in this video. However, I think I need to investigate that. I haven't really been a huge fan of any framework in the past, but it wasn't because of the Fluent design. I like that. It's really more of the inefficiencies of the SQL that really bugged me. So maybe RepoDB is better. I don't know. Either way, I think it has a really good potential as a newer ORM. Dapper's definitely mature, but I think it's time to give it a shot and try something else. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. We'll see you next time.